Give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also, want to acknowledge all the Akyam who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. All right, I'm going to just through the Spirit, I'm going to go through Ecclesiastes chapter 7. It says, a good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of one's birth. So, a good name, what we always talk about, we're always trying to, part of our job is introducing the elect to the names of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And you have the 2/3 who reject the names. They tell you that names don't matter, names ain't important. But right here it tells you a good name is better than precious ointment, in the day of death and the day of one's birth. So Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, man, those names are the most important names. All right? So stop all that madness, all these 2/3, all these Israelites who don't want to take heed and to the true names. The good name is important, man. Verse 2. It is better to go a house of mourning than to a house of feasting, for that it is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart. So basically it's telling you, because the prophets were in a state of mourning, because we're not, we know that this is not the end-all be-all. We know that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has a better place planned for us. This place ain't our rest. None of that. So we're the ones who are mourning here in our captivity. But if you're foolish and you're an unbeliever and you don't understand the scriptures, you're just trying to make an empire or build an empire here in Babylon, America. But we're supposed to be in a state of mourning, sighing and crying, right? Just like it tells you in Ezekiel 9:4, the men who sigh and cry for all the abominations that we're in the middle of. So it's better to go the house of mourning are the prophets. We're the men mourning. That's the house that's mourning. The true house of Israel, right? The men who are in their right state of mind. Verse 3. Sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance the heart is made better. Yeah, because when we suffer, sorrow, do you agree when you suffer, you're in sorrow? But guess what? It's better because when you suffer, you learn. If you're of the elect, especially, your heart is made better, which means your mind, right? Your mind is made better because when you suffer, you know what it is. You go through that chastisement, you go through that fire. Now all of a sudden, your understanding increases. Verse 4. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of the fool is in the house of mirth. That's what I was just saying. The men who are mourning, that are sighing and crying, these are the wise men. For it's unwise to be happy and trying to make the best, have your best life here. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying yourself here and there, but we're in the mindset where we want the kingdom, man. We're mourning because this is not our rest. We're mourning because we hate the state of our people, right? And this is why we're wise to know this, all right? The mind of the wise is in the house of mourning. So, hey, that's what it is. The wise men are the ones who are crying out, you see? That's what the word church means. It means to cry out. In the Spanish, iglesia. I'm reading out of Ecclesiastes. That word Ecclesiastes means church. Ecclesiastes, iglesia. You see the similarity? And it literally means to cry out. So who's crying out? The men, the church, the men who are the church. Let me grab that precept. So the wise men are the church. So let me make this make sense for you. Revelation 21:3. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of the Most High is with men. See that? Tabernacle. Another word for tabernacle is church. So we're crying out. That's what that word means. Ecclesiastes. Iglesia in Spanish. Crying out. The wise men are crying out. Let me get that real quick. I think it's in Psalm. Let's get that precept real quick. Psalm 19. It talks about the men. Let me grab this precept real quick. Bear with me. It's in Proverbs. It's Proverbs 1:20. Wisdom crieth without. She uttereth her voice in the streets. She crieth in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates. In the city she uttereth her words, saying, How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you, and I will make known my words unto you. So who does Yahweh make his words known unto? Jacob, the men, his prophets, his church, the men of Israel. We're crying out. Where are we crying out? In the chief place of concourse, which that's in front of a building. When you look up that word concourse, it says in an assembly of people, or in front of a public building. Or in the openings of the gates, which have been the openings of the gates of cities. That's why we're in those public places when we do our camps, because we're those men crying out. We're the church crying, the real true church crying out in the wisdom, right? What I read in Ecclesiastes 7:4, it says, the heart of the wise is in the house of mourning. You see? So the mind of the wise, the wisdom is in our minds, meaning the understanding of this truth. That's why I read that verse. It says that I will make my words known to you. Right here, verse 23. Turn you at my reproof, and behold means observe. Observe, I will pour out my spirit unto you, and I will make known my words unto you. See that? So, the men are the church. The men are crying out. The church is not a building, like people think. The church are men. Can a building cry out? No. Actually, you know what? Let me look that word up. I'm going to look it up on this other phone of mine right here. First off, I'm going to read the word of Ecclesiastes. It says, the name Ecclesiastes is a translation of the Hebrew word Koheleth, which means one who convenes an assembly, or simply a preacher. You see that? So that's what it is. How can a church, like a building, that can't be a preacher, but a man is a preacher, right? So the men are the truth. And you don't need a building you don't need a building to assemble a church. All you need are the men, which is the most important. The men are essential in the In the church, we're the ones who are the preacher. The building's not going to preach. It says right here, ecclesiastic, to French, ecclesiastique, directly from medieval Latin ecclesiasticus, from Greek ecclesiastikos, and of the assembly in late Greek of a church from Ecclesiastes, speaker in an assembly, or church preacher. That's what that word means. Ecclesiastes is speaker. And let me keep reading. It says, or church preacher from alkaline, to call out. All right? So literally that word means to call out. So the men are the church, the ecclesia, the ecclesiastes, the ecclesiasticus. The men are the church. The actual building can't call out. And I'm gonna make this lesson short. It sucks. We're in captivity, man. We're always running out of time. Let me see. Let me go back to Ecclesiastes 7, and I'm at verse 5. It says, at verse 5, it says, this is in verse 5. It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools. Right? So yes, it's better for the wise to rebuke you, even though you might be offended. It might make you feel some type of way. But it's better to be like offended according to this knowledge, according to this truth, than to hear the song of fools, than to listen. And just to make it plain for you, you want to listen to some of this music they have here in Babylon, and it's wicked as hell. I have a little 10-year-old daughter, and she was on the treadmill at my apartment, and she's like, "Dad, can I play some music while you read your Bible?" And I'm like, I told her yes. She starts playing some music on the TV, through the internet, and the songs she had, she didn't even realize, because she's only 10, that these songs were wicked as hell. I mean, and it goes back, to this entertainment industry who's ran by Amalek pushing wickedness since the beginning of time. They've always been wicked. Even even like people think, they say, oh well, the good old days had good music and now the music is trash. No, when you consider the good old days, though, that music was just as bad. Listen to some of them Motown songs, like from the 60s and 70s and even further back. It started, that was, if you listen to the words, a lot of those R&B songs, they were set up to create weak men and to fuck up their mindsets. But anyway, that better to hear, the rebuke of the wise, being called out. Like when somebody says, "Oh, he called you out." Hey, that's what we're talking about. Ecclesiastes, to call out. Oh, he called you out on your sin. That's what our job is as the prophets, right? Are we not supposed to show our people their transgressions loudly? We're lifting up our voice. Isaiah 58:1. Cry aloud, spare not. Lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions, and the house of Jacob their sins. So Isaiah was a prophet. We're the prophets. We're supposed to cry aloud and spare not. You don't spare their feelings. You lift up the voice like a trumpet. When you're out in them chief places of concourse, when you're on the streets calling them out on their transgression, you got to do it like a trumpet, meaning loud. I mean, you got to yell at them. See? Ecclesiastes, to call out. That's what the word means. I'm going to name this lesson Ecclesiastes, to call out. Ecclesiastes 7:6, it says, "For as the crackling of thorns under a pot, so is the laughter of a fool. This also is vanity." So when you hear fools laughing, it's useless. What are they laughing at? Some bullshit. Like literally useless. a fool laughing, a non-person who don't believe in this truth, laughter is useless, right? What does it mean? Nothing. Verse 7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. Oppression makes a wise man mad because, first of all, you don't even know you're oppressed until you're wise. That's why so many of these Israelites, these 2/3, they don't even consider themselves being oppressed. They don't care that they got to go to work every single day in captivity and slavery. They think they got to go set themselves up to have a good life here in Babylon, right? They think, oh, I'm going to get a good paying job and my family's blessed now, because they're not wise. But the men of the truth, the men who have wisdom, the men who are sighing and crying, the men who are calling out, we know this place is oppression, is slavery. And it makes us mad that we're vexed in our spirit. That's why we're crying out. That's why we're Ecclesiastes, crying out. See? We're crying out on the street corners. Wisdom crying out in the streets, in the chief place of concourse. You see? Because we know we're oppressed. We know that this ain't the end all be all. We know there's a better thing coming. See? And a gift destroys the heart. Hey, this is or destroys the mind. Like, just like when like, let's say these Edomites decided to give reparations to our people for all the calamities and atrocities and slaveries they've put us under. And they said, oh, guess what? We're going to give the Israelites, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, we're going to give them a new RIF or a new spiff, a system where they get money. We're going to pay them $2,000 every month. And what's going to happen to the mind of those people? Oh, the so-called white man, he's a good guy. He's giving me $2,000 a month. Or these women, oh, the so-called white man rewarded me with child support. So now, he's not bad in my eyes, because our people are stupid. So that destroys their minds. That's how a gift destroys the heart, You people need to wake your ass up. Only the elect will. And that's what I'm doing. I'm on this video doing the old Ecclesiastes. I'm calling out. The prophet's job is to call them out on their sins, call them out on their transgressions. Verse 8, better is the end of a thing than the beginning of thereof. And the patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit, right? Because if we're suffering, guess what? We're patient. Patient means suffering. We're going through this oppression and we're like pissed off about it. But at the same time, we're patient. We deal with it like men. Here is the patience of the saints, right? Let me grab that real quick. I think that's in Daniel. Or no, I'm thinking of he wears out the saints. That's in Daniel. But the patience of the saints is in Revelation. Boom, there it is. That was the spirit, because I wasn't sure where it was, but here it is. Revelation 13:10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Yeah, exactly. He that led us into slavery is going to go into slavery. He that killeth with a sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So we're in captivity, so we got to be patient. We know that the one who kills with the sword is about to be killed with the sword, but guess what? We got to be patient. We got to suffer before the one that kills with the sword is killed with the sword, and that's Esau Edom. The sword is his blessing, the weapons, the military, the war. That's his blessing. We got to be patient until we get out of captivity. We got to be patient until the Edomites and the heathen and 2/3 are killed by the sword. All right? Takes patience. Ecclesiastes 7 and 8, I'll read it again. It says, better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof, and patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. All right, who's the proud in spirit? Tells you that in Obadiah. Let's get that real quick. The most proud nation on the planet Earth is the Edomite. All right. I'm just going to jump to verse 3. The proud is dealing, this Obadiah is talking about the Edomites. So we read it, verse 3. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, who saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? That's their pride. They really believe nobody can bring them down. Because they're right. Nobody on the planet can bring him down. But guess what? The one in the heavens, he's going to be the one to bring him down. Well, let's read it. It says right here, verse 4, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, that's why their national bird is the eagle. Even also during the time of the Greeks and the Romans, they raised up the eagle. These so-called white people, these Edomites. And though thou set thy nest among the stars, talking about their satellites and all the other things they put in the heavens, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh. There it is. Yahweh is going to be the one to bring him down, not us. Vengeance is Yahweh's, the Bible tells you. You see? But you won't know unless you're dealing with the wise men. The wise men, we call it out. The Lord gives us the understanding, gives us the ability to call out, to be the church. All right? Ecclesiastes 7 and 9. It says, be not hasty in thy spirit to be angry, for anger resteth in the bosom of fools. So you got to be able to control your spirit, right? Even though we're going through hell, even though we're in oppression, even though we're under the heathen, we're under the Edomites right now, you still got to be patient and control your spirit. If you get angry, you lose your cool. Hey, that ain't a good thing. We're not in power right now. You know, we're the servants and we're the slaves. Hey, we're slaves to the so-called white man, but we're servants of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So all we can do is be patient, go through it, deal with it like men, and wait on the Lord. Verse 10. Say thou not, what is the cause of the former days were better than these? For thou dost not inquire wisely concerning this. So it's not wise to sit there and wish things were the way they used to be. Right? What are you going to do? Wish things were the way they used to be before you knew this truth, before you understood this truth, when you had a zeal but not according to knowledge, when you were out on the streets calling our people out on their transgressions, when you weren't part of the true church. You want to sit there and say, oh, I wish it was the former days were better than these. No, that's a stupid thing to be concerned with. We need to be concerned on prophecy. We need to be concerned on showing our people their transgressions. We need to be concerned on the church, the true church, the men, the brotherhood, right? That's why we calling out our people, because we are the Ecclesiastes. We are the church. We are the ones to call out, right? But I'm going to go ahead and close out on that. So I'm going to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakakodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also want to acknowledge all the Akyam who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom to the elect. Shalom to the Ecclesiastes, to the church, to the men calling out. Shalom, brothers. Shalom.